Well, folks, we're back in front of the Navy Museum at the Washington Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. There's the front of the museum with anchors and projectiles. Very nice, presentable Building 76, the Navy Museum sign that's still on it. We're out in front and we're taking our time going through some of the historic objects in Willard Park. And we'll take a quick tour of some of the remaining ordnance out here. We got the English Blakely 7-inch gun, one of two which armed the Confederate cruiser Florida. Okay, this is a Blakely gun. With 9-groove rifling, 7-inch bore. And there's the original Blakely nomenclature up top. See that? Blakely's patent, etc. Fawcett, Preston, Liverpool, 1861. And then back here is a capture inscription. Blakely 100-pounder, Anglo Rebel Pirate, Florida. Very modern gun for the time. What's next is I think a 5-inch Whitworth rifle, which was coming over from England and captured aboard a rebel vessel, trying to get it into the States. Typical polygonal rifling, Whitworth called it. The sign says it's a 5-inch muzzle-loading rifle, one of 4 guns captured on a blockade runner Princess Royal. There's your sign. Very big historic gun. Moving right along. It's rifled and it's experimental breech loader. Very interesting mechanism where the breech block pivots to the side. And it looks like it may be wrought iron. Now this may also be one of the many experimental weapons that was submitted for testing down here at the Navy Yard during the Civil War, because when I look at the metal, it looks like wrought iron to me. It's got striations in it from corrosion. It's got a pendulum Hawes sight bracket, so that means Civil War period. And it's got actually an eccentric mechanism here, which allows the breech block to disengage. If you rotate it a little bit, it'll pull that breech block backwards. And then you can rotate it on out of the way to reload. So that's kind of an interesting mechanism, and I'm going to have to find out whose invention this is. This is another Whitworth, 2.75-inch muzzle-loading Whitworth, with again a 6-groove polygonal rifling. Whitworth made both breech-loading and muzzle-loading rifles in 2.75-inch caliber, and there's a lot of writing under there. We'll have to look in a book to find out what it is, because it's painted over. This is trophy number 32, and this was captured during the Civil War as well, but I don't have that data with me right at the moment. Steel sight, trunnion sight we call it. This is a 12-pounder iron smoothbore field gun, banded and rifled by the Confederates, presumably. See that rifling? Only 5 grooves. That's kind of interesting. Interesting old conversion by the Confederates. Now let's see what the engraving on it says. This is trophy number 20, iron trophy number 27. Band shrunk on. And the inscription says, received from Annapolis, Maryland, April 19th, 1866. Invoice is captured. Here's an English gun, which was rifled for the Confederates, I think, in this case. British 32-pounder naval smoothbore converted to 6.25-inch rifle. It's in excellent condition, really. It's been kept painted. Made by Low Moore in England, number 10660 it looks like. And let's see, let's look for a capture inscription, which we have. It says 32 pounder Anglo Rebel Pirate, Florida. 32 pounder rifled from Anglo Pirate Rebel, Florida. Okay, we have seen another gun today from that same capture. Alright, now let's go over here and look at this big guy. It's an earlier gun that's been banded, wrought iron band on a cast iron barrel. It's also been rifled, I'm sure by the South. The original trunnion marks is PCWS, the inspector. And we got a big inscription on this guy too. Alright. Navy 32 pounder, banded and rifled by the rebels, taken from the tug Teazer, T-E-A-Z-E-R. And there are a lot of pictures of the Teazer, and I think this gun may be in those pictures. Photographs taken during the Civil War. Here's another big old gun made by Mason's Foundry, John Mason, in Georgetown, D.C. The original gun was. It's been since banded and rifled. WJW, I think it's William J. Worth, number 230 or 280. That's where they took a sample of the metal. Army 32 pounder smoothbore made at Columbia Foundry, Georgetown in 1834, banded and rifled by the Confederates. See that? Very interesting, historic, and big gun. You're firing over probably a 60-pound projectile. And it's got a big inscription, alright? Army 32 pounder banded and rifled by the rebels, captured from them by Rear Admiral D.D. Porter at Fort DeRussy, May 4th, 1863. The wrought iron band on there. One last piece. Looks like an English gun again that's been rifled. An older English gun that's been rifled by Blakely. Blakely 7.5 inch rifle, which may have been a British 42 pounder iron smoothbore rifled and reinforced at the breech by a band. Blakely is a famous English gun designer. Sent a lot of stuff over to the Confederates. Low Moore, that's the original casting, 1861. Probably made it a smoothbore originally, and then it was taken out of production and rifled. There's a trunnion sight, and there's the wrought iron band, which is very interesting because you can see how it was wrapped around. It's kind of a narrower wrought iron band. It's not one piece. It was wrapped around a few times, it looks like. Welded together and shrunk on. And this is Blakely gun, imitation Parrott, left by rebels at Shipping Point, Potomac River. Doesn't give a date, but early in the Civil War, I think that happened when they abandoned that area. And there's the breech sight. Pretty menacing looking gun.